Hey, welcome back to this channel, you guys. I want to talk about a movie I watched the other day. Now, I seen the previews of this about, I don't know if it was last year or maybe 6 months ago. It could have been last year, I think. I remember seeing the previews for it, and the movie is called The Cursed. And this movie came out this year, but I think I remember seeing previews of it last year. Now, I'll be honest with you, I remember seeing previews of this movie, and I said to myself, I know I'm gonna like that movie. I just knew I was gonna like that movie. There's only a few times that I said I was gonna like a movie and it ended up being a dud, but this one wasn't a dud at all. And man, so I seen that it was available, to get on, digital. So I was like, you know what? It was a Friday, last Friday, matter of fact. I had the weekend off again because the previous weekend I worked. And I was like, man, I've been working a lot of overtime, and boom, I'm treating myself. So I was like, it said, now here's the thing, it said, I think it was like $24 to buy, and then it was like $19 to rent. So I mean, by the time I bought it, it was like 26 bucks. But if you wanted to rent it, it was like 19 because it's like one of those in-theater purchases or something like that. But you know what? I said, you know what? I'm going to go with my gun instinct and I'm going to get this. And man, was I not disappointed. Oh my Lord. I love this movie. I so love this movie. And I'm glad I bought it. And it's in my little, because I got, I used to have this thing called Fandango account. Now it's called, this VOD or something like that. VUDU or something like that. I really never did a Vadu or something like that. But anyway, it went from Fandango to Vadu or something like that. Anyway, I got a bunch of movies on there that I buy to have on digital. Now, sometimes I buy stuff digital and sometimes I buy stuff digital and, I get physical. So anyway, this movie had a 73% Rotten Tomatoes or tomato meter. That's what they call it on that VOD thing I got, which used to be Fandango, but they converted over to VOD or something like that. VUDU, I can't. But anyway, it says on there it's 73% tomato meter. So that means a lot of people's liking it. It's got 4 stars, so I give it 4 stars. But the main characters in this got a lot of good it's got decent cast in there too. But the main, there was the 2 of them is the main dude is Boyd Halbrook, and then Kelly Rowley was the 2 main, I think, leads in there. But there was another guy in there as a lead as well, but those are the ones I wrote down was Boyd Halbrook and Kelly Reality or something like that. I don't understand these names, but Kelly Reality or something like that. What is how you spell that name? Anyway, they were the main 2 people because I wrote a name down so I wouldn't butcher it, but I still can't pronounce it, so I don't know. Anyway, this is based on the late 1800s, a man. He arrives in a remote village to investigate an animal attack by a wild animal attacked a person, and when he gets there, he's there to investigate this wild animal attack. But when he gets there, he discovers that a much deeper and more sinister force is at work. That's what the plot synopsis says. And boy, was it. He didn't realize is that, I wrote this down, he realized that the manor that they lived in itself and the townspeople are at its grip, whatever force it is. So that's what I wrote down in my little notes. And because I have a knack of forgetting that when I get in front of the camera. So that's exactly what it is. And this is basically about a guy who tried to chase these gypsies off the land that he says was his, and they said it belonged to them. And deep down, this guy that owned this manor, he had a lot of people working up under him, plus the people that lived in the village worked for him because he's a pretty wealthy guy. So they're trying to talk to him and say that there's legitimate. The people that was investigating these gypsies was telling him, says there's a possible legitimate thing that they might own that land, and he and they said if he was listening to him, his people that he had investigate all these gypsies that were living on this land. He was like, man, they got a legitimate case against you, and he wanted them off that property. He wanted that property for himself. So these gypsies wouldn't negotiate, so they decided to go down there, and he went with his group, and he got a bunch of men, and they went down. These gypsies was outside, man, living outside in the tents and stuff, and then boom, they went down there, man, and it showed them just slaughtering these gypsies, man. I mean, they was slaughtering them. I mean, then they were shooting the women, they were shooting the men. They wiped them out, basically. And then the last two that was there, they took, and man, if you like blood, guts, and gore, you got it in this one, because man, there's a part where they took the guy and he was still alive. They chopped both his feet off. They chopped both his hands off, and then they put him on a cross and they put him up like a scarecrow. And then they took the woman that was the one that actually cursed everybody, and they took her and they threw her in this mass grave where all the dead gypsies was, and they just threw dirt on her while she was alive. So she was like holding these silver teeth. They look like fangs. It looked like my mouth, but they had fangs on both ends. So anyway, she was chanting something while they was throwing dirt on her. So then fast forward, these kids later on, maybe about a year or two later, they come up on that thing, and they found out that lady had buried something with her. So they dared this kid to dig that little box out with these silver teeth. Like a big dummy, man. He wasn't going to do it at first, but then he went down, dug that out, and he put it in his mouth. And they told him not to put it in his mouth. As soon as he put that thing in his mouth, the guy that was the owner of the manor had his little boy there. And that teenage kid turned around. He looked like he was possessed, and he had veins popping in his head. And it was like a mouthpiece. And he bit the kid in the neck. And then, they had some good graphics in this, man. He ripped him, and then it switched to, them taking the boy to the dad and the mom and the teenage daughter. And the boy was sweating and stuff. They got the doctor and stuff. And the doctor said, well, he looked like he's bit by an animal. And then the kid ended up putting the kid to bed, but the kid ended up getting these branches and stuff wrapped around him, and then he takes off and he goes out into the wilderness. And then after that, man, this creature started killing people. And what I like about this movie is that there's good special effects in this movie, but there's also a good story. And what I also like about it is when you seen the creature looked pretty daggone wicked, man. It was like an albino white, and and there was parts where every time this thing would attack somebody, they would end up getting sick. And so the guy that they ended up hiring to come and hunt this thing down, he hunted one down and killed it. And so when he brought it to the manor, he told me, he says, I'm going to show you something. And so they all got there, and there was a guy that lost, his daughter was killed. And he goes, I'm going to cut this thing open. So when he cut this thing open, everybody's like, what are you doing? Because they was like, it's already dead. We cut open, there was like this fetus in there with a live host. And this girl started coming out like she's being born again. And he kept telling me, he said, that's your daughter. He goes, but that's really not your daughter. And he was like, freaking out because he just lost his daughter. He goes, you need to shoot it. And he was telling them to shoot it because he wanted to let them know what they were dealing with. So he shot her in the head. So this is what it's all about. This thing is digesting, it's biting people, but at the same time, this creature is going around killing people, but it's actually the person inside the creature. But it's like they ain't got control of themselves because they've been cursed. So this guy is trying to save this man's family. Well, there ain't too much of a happy ending to this, but the guy, Boyd Halbert plays the guy that's doing investigating. He the one that ends up, he saves the two kids, but he can't save the mom and dad. And the mom and dad is played by that Kelly girl I just pronounced. But she kind of sacrificed her life to save her son. But if you watch this, man, this is what I like about this movie? I like it because it's just the way it was shot. It was shot at this house, this big old manor, and it was creepy. And, they didn't have electricity at that time. Everything was candlelights, and there was a lot of special effects when you needed it. And there was parts where they were outside, and the area they shot this thing at, it just was like, it even made you get immersed into that world, because you'd be like looking around trying to see if this thing's gonna come up on you. And every time they went outside, they got attacked. I couldn't understand why these people kept going outside, but they had a job. They had to do certain things for this, this wealthy guy that owned this manor, and people worked for him. But little did he know that he actually, when he killed them Egyptians, then he buried that woman. And so to sum this up, because I hate going over 9 minutes, that the guy found those teeth that was in a church. There's a part here in the church scene where this thing, they all barricaded towards the end of the movie. They barricaded themselves in the church, and this thing came in there, man, and it started slaughtering people, man. And I mean, if you're into blood, guts, and gore, it doesn't have a lot, but it has enough in there for those bloodthirsty blood, guts, and gore people. But they had to use those silver teeth, and they had to melt them down to kind of kill this thing. It's kind of like a werewolf movie in a way, but it's to me, it's better than the werewolf movie to me. I love this movie. It's so weird, because I remember I watched this and I seen previews and I said, that looks like the type of movie I like, and sure enough, it was. Wow. I'm very pleased with this. I'm glad I bought it and put it in my little, digital collection. And yeah, this is not a review, you guys. Just me telling you, if you haven't watched this, check it out. Just check it out on a night you ain't got nothing to do. You want to sit down and you're chilling, man. You ain't got nothing to do. You got your dog, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Cat. I got a cat. Glass of wine, whatever. Just sit back and watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a 73% tomato meter. I don't know where to get all this stuff from. Anyway, it says tomato meter. But it's good. It's good ratings, and I'm glad I followed my instincts, because I definitely enjoyed this movie, and I bought it because I thought my instincts was right. It was spot on with this. So anyway, God bless and take care, and that's just me telling you about the movie Cursed. I've been wanting to watch it, and it did not let me down. It did not disappoint. So God bless and take care, and we'll catch you in the next video. We'll see you.